This deep dive is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free. Welcome to E-commerce Psychology. Today we're diving into something you've probably come across, maybe even based some business thinking on it. It's the whole left brain versus right brain thing.
Right, and how that old idea has sort of shape-shifted, really, into something new for e-commerce,
Right.
thinking about digital versus analog approaches.
Exactly. We're basing this chat on a great article from E-commerce Psychology called The Left Digital Right Analog Brain Myth, what it really means for e-commerce.
And our mission here really is to unpack why these simple labels aren't just, inaccurate, but they could actually be holding your business back, whether you're on Shopify or another platform.
Yeah, understanding how our brains actually work, the reality of it, can unlock some surprising growth insights. It's not about picking a side.
Not at all. It's about blending these approaches, digital and analog, to connect with how customers genuinely think and make decisions.
Okay, so let's back up a bit. This left brain, right brain idea.
Yeah.
Where did it even come from? It feels very sort of pop psychology, doesn't it?
Well, surprisingly, it actually has roots in some pretty serious science back in the 1960s. There was research by Roger Sperry. He won a Nobel Prize for it on split brain patients.
Split brain. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and even earlier, people like Broca and Wernicke had found specific language centers mostly on the left side.
So there was some actual science initially, not just like made up.
No, definitely not made up. But,
Yeah.
and this is the crucial bit, those very specific findings about certain functions got wildly oversimplified, when it hit the mainstream in the 70s and 80s.
Right. That's when it turned into the left brain is logical, analytical, good at math.
And the right brain is creative, emotional, artistic. Exactly that. The neat little boxes.
Everyone knows that version. It's everywhere.
It is. It's appealingly simple.
Hmm.
But scientifically, not really accurate. There was a big study, University of Utah, 2013. They looked at over 1,000 brain scans.
1,000. Okay, so what did they find?
Basically, zero evidence that people predominantly use one side over the other. It just doesn't work like that.
So no left-brained people or right-brained people walking around.
Nope. Our brains are incredibly integrated networks. The two hemispheres are constantly communicating, collaborating on pretty much everything. Yes, some functions might show some lateralization. Language often involves the left more, but that's not the same as one side dominating your personality or thinking style. We use our whole brain.
It feels much more intuitive, actually, when you think about how complex thinking really is. So why did the simple, inaccurate version become so popular and stick around for so long?
Well, several things. First, it offered a really easy framework, didn't it? A simple way to label cognitive differences, understand yourself, understand others.
And maybe a handy explanation for why you're good at some things and not others. Oh, I'm just not a left-brain person.
Exactly. It gives you a neat little story. Plus, let's be honest, it was heavily commercialized. Books, tests, training programs, all built around this flawed idea.
Right, the whole industry that sprang up around it.
Yeah, and once an idea gets that embedded in the culture, well, it's really hard to shake, even with strong scientific evidence against it.
Okay, so relying on this flawed model is obviously problematic for business strategy, especially in e-commerce, where understanding customer minds is everything. And you mentioned it sort of evolved.
It has. It hasn't just vanished. It seems like it's been, well, reframed, I guess, using the language of technology. We've all lived through this huge shift from analog to digital tech, right?
Absolutely. Tapes to MP3s, film to digital cameras.
Yeah. So that shared experience seems to have created a parallel in how we talk about thinking styles. The old left-right brain gets mapped onto digital thinking versus analog thinking.
I can see the connection. Digital feels precise, logical, code-based, like the old left brain.
And analog feels more continuous, nuanced, maybe sensory, like the right brain. It feels kind of intuitive, that parallel.
So this digital thinking, the new left brain, what does that actually look like in an e-commerce context? What are we talking about?
We're talking about prioritizing data above all else. Decisions driven by metrics, analytics, thinking in terms of conversion rates, A/B test results, optimizing for efficiency.
Lots of focus on automation, algorithms, technological solutions.
Exactly. Algorithmic recommendations, seeing customers almost as well as data points to be analyzed and optimized for clicks and conversions. It's very numbers focused.
Okay. And the flip side, analog thinking, the new right brain.
That's more about the human element. Human-centered design, focusing on the qualitative stuff, customer stories, feedback, intuition.
So things like brand storytelling, maybe the unboxing experience.
Precisely. Handwritten notes, product descriptions that evoke emotion or sensory details, really trying to understand the person behind the click, not just the data point. It values creativity, judgment, the whole experience.
Right. But again, it sounds like we're setting up another neat, tidy split, digital versus analog. Is that just as much of an oversimplification as left versus right brain?
That's exactly the point the article makes, yes. While the analogy feels relevant to e-commerce, it falls into the same trap. It oversimplifies how our brains actually work and, consequently, how the most effective businesses operate.
Okay, so let's get into that. If the brain isn't split left-right or digital-analog, how does it work when we're, say, browsing an online store?
Yeah.
And what does that really mean for how we should approach e-commerce?
The key takeaway from neuroscience now is integration. Our brains are networks. Complex tasks, whether analytical or creative, activate regions across both hemispheres. They're constantly chatting, working together.
So it's not like one side switches on and the other switches off.
Not at all. It's more about which networks become more active depending on the context and the specific task you're doing. It's not about a fixed dominance. Plus, there's huge individual variation anyway, those big studies. They just don't find consistent left-brained or right-brained patterns in the population.
So for our customers scrolling through our Shopify store, they're not just using their logic brain for prices and their emotion brain for the brand story.
Exactly. They're engaging networks that process both simultaneously. Rational thoughts about features and price are intertwined with emotional responses to your brand, the product imagery, the feeling of trust. It's all happening together, integrated.
And you mentioned context being really important too.
Hugely important. Our brains adapt. What you're doing changes which networks are most active. Buying a washing machine probably engages different networks than buying a birthday gift, right?
Makes sense. One feels more analytical, the other more emotional.
Right, but it's not a different type of brain being used, just different networks within the same integrated brain responding to the task. And things like learning, experience, even the device someone's using, all influence this. Neuroplasticity means our brains are constantly adapting anyway.
So the idea of a customer having one fixed shopping style is probably wrong then. Their approach shifts depending on what they need, the product, the situation.
Precisely, it's fluid. And that has big implications for how you should think about your business. Forget rigid binaries. Thinking exists on a spectrum. Different tasks in your business need different cognitive approaches, too.
Like analyzing sales data versus brainstorming a new marketing campaign.
Exactly. Cognitive flexibility, being able to draw on both analytical and creative or intuitive thinking, is super valuable. The best business decisions usually come from integrating both, not just sticking rigidly to one mode.
So e-commerce itself is kind of sitting right at this intersection, isn't it? It's built on digital tech, but it's dealing with real human beings and often physical products.
Perfectly put. It is a collision or maybe a convergence of digital and analog realities. You've got the massive digital infrastructure, the platforms, the data, the algorithms driving trillions in sales. It's incredibly powerful.
Can't run an online store without it, obviously.
Obviously. But then you have the persistent analog side. Most e-commerce still involves physical goods. People have real emotional reactions, excitement, frustration, trust when shopping online. Building that trust is harder without face-to-face interaction.
And customers can't touch or feel the products, which is a huge part of traditional shopping.
Right, those sensory limitations are real. So the most successful e-commerce businesses today are the ones navigating this hybrid reality really well.
Like omni-channel strategies, buy online, pick up in store.
Exactly. Or using tech like AR to bridge the gap, letting you see furniture in your room. And on the flip side, enhancing the digital experience with physical touches, like amazing packaging or unboxing experiences.
That Warby Parker example is interesting too, starting online, then adding physical stores.
Yeah, it shows even digital natives see the power of integrating that physical analog touch point. Competitive advantage increasingly comes from excelling in both realms, not just doubling down on one.
Okay, so it's clear we need to move beyond just digital or analog. How do we actively build a strategy that integrates them? What are the strengths we're trying to combine?
Well, on the digital side, you've got the immense power of data for understanding behavior, right? Personalization at scale via algorithms, operational efficiency in logistics, inventory, global reach. These are huge strengths.
Absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
But what about the analog side? What unique power does that bring that pure data can't quite capture?
It brings emotional connection, brand storytelling that resonates deeply, sensory engagement through the product itself, the packaging, the ability of human customer service to solve complex problems with empathy. building real community and loyalty that goes beyond just the transaction.
That human touch. Okay, so how do we weave these together? What are some practical integration strategies?
One way is a complementary approach. Use data to spot problems or opportunities, then use human creativity and intuition to find the solutions. Map your customer journey and consciously design it to blend digital efficiency, like easy checkout, with human touchpoints where they matter most. Maybe proactive support or personalized follow-ups.
And looking beyond just conversion rates for metrics.
Definitely. Balance quantitative metrics like sales with qualitative ones like customer satisfaction, brand sentiment, maybe even net promoter score, and always view technology as an enabler of human connection, not a replacement. Use chatbots for simple stuff, sure, but make it super easy to reach a real person when needed.
That framing tech enabling human connection feels really important. Let's get specific. How does this apply to, say, presenting products on your website?
You need balance. Give the specs, the data points for the analytical buyer, but also tell the story. Why does this product matter? How will it fit into their life? Show it in context with lifestyle photos, maybe videos.
Engage more senses, even digitally.
Try to. Use high-quality visuals, maybe 3D models if relevant. Describe textures or scents if applicable. And set expectations for the physical experience, talk about the unboxing, build that anticipation. Casper mattresses do this well, specs, and the sleep lifestyle story.
Makes sense. What about the overall customer experience design navigating the site, getting help?
Aim for intuitive and informative. Easy navigation for browsers, clear structure for researchers, reduce friction everywhere you can, but don't automate away meaningful interactions that build trust. Offer self-service and easy access to humans.
Catering to different thinking styles, maybe.
Exactly. Inclusive design. Sephora is great here. Filters and detailed info, alongside quizzes and video tutorials, different paths for different preferences.
And how does this integrated thinking apply to bigger business decisions? Marketing, product development.
Be data-informed, not just purely data-driven. Let data guide you. But don't ignore experience, intuition, qualitative feedback. Automate where it makes sense, but keep human oversight for critical stuff.
When testing things, look beyond just conversion.
Absolutely. Measure satisfaction, brand perception, maybe even run surveys alongside A/B tests. Build decision processes that explicitly weigh both the numbers and the human factors: brand fit, customer relationships. Even Amazon, famous for data, has customer obsession, which requires deep human understanding.
These are really concrete ways to apply this. It really feels like the way forward. And you mentioned the article has case studies. Seeing who's doing this well can be really helpful.
For sure. Big players like Amazon and Alibaba are increasingly focused on the human element, integrating online and offline. Then you have innovative DTC brands.
Like Warby Parker, Glossier.
Right. Warby Parker's blend of online and physical try-on, Glossier building community digitally, Everlane using transparency to tell human stories about production. They show it's possible for smaller players, too.
And even traditional retailers are getting in on it.
Yeah, Walmart acquiring digital brands, Best Buy's omni-channel strategy. They're all realizing you can't just bolt on digital. You have to truly integrate it while staying true to your core identity. The common thread is that integration beats sticking to just one lane.
And looking ahead, it feels like technology itself is going to keep blurring these lines even more, right?
Definitely. Think about AR and VR. Virtual try-on is already making a difference, bridging that physical gap. We might even see ways to engage other senses digitally down the line. Research even shows immersive VR can activate brain areas similarly to real experiences.
Wow. So the digital experience could feel much more analog.
Potentially, yes. And then there's AI. The conversation is shifting from AI replacing humans to AI collaborating with humans. AI handles the data crunching. Humans provide the creativity, empathy, context.
Like chatbots escalating to human agents.
Exactly. Or like Stitch Fix using algorithms and human stylists. The future looks like blended experiences. New business models leveraging both, enabled by tech like 5G and IoT. Consumer expectations are shifting towards wanting that seamless blend of convenience and connection.
This has been fantastic. So for someone listening, wanting to implement this integrated approach,
Yeah.
what's the framework? Where do they start?
It starts with the organization itself. Build diverse teams, break down silos between, say, marketing and customer service. Develop balanced metrics, look at lifetime value and satisfaction, not just immediate sales.
Leadership needs to buy in too, right? Value both data and intuition.
Absolutely crucial. Then choose technology strategically. How does it enhance the human side? Where can automation free up people for higher value interactions? Build flexible systems.
And keep learning and adapting.
Always. Get feedback through multiple channels, data, and conversations. Have an experimental mindset. Foster cognitive flexibility in your team. It's a long-term strategic commitment, not a quick fix.
So the big takeaway is clear. Forget the simple left-right digital analog boxes. Success lies in integration, understanding the whole customer.
Exactly. Use digital tools to be more human, not less. Build trust, connect emotionally. That's where the real sustainable advantage lies in e-commerce. Technology should ultimately serve human connection.
A really powerful thought. So for you listening, think about your own business. Where can you blend the efficiency of digital with the power of human connection? How can you engage your customers' whole minds, logic, and emotion working together, looking to implement these integrated strategies in your Shopify store? The Growth Suite application helps merchants balance data-driven optimization with human-centered experiences, combining powerful analytics with tools for storytelling, emotional connection, and community building to drive sales through whole-brain engagement. Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.